Hey everybody, welcome to the second week of the Halloween vlog. This is a weird angle, but there's like random action figures on the shelf behind me, so I angled the camera so it wouldn't pick those up. But anyway, this is going to be a little shorter of a week. I wanted to get that first episode out because of the Halloween Horror Night stuff or the Universal stuff in it, but I don't really have as much that I was able to do this week. It was just kind of a normal like working week for me and a little bit more downtime. So unfortunately I don't have tons, but this is also mostly the last week of September and just a little teeny bit of the beginning of October. So in the following episodes, when October is in full swing, I'm hoping to have a little more to show you, a little more fun stuff to do. Obviously, Halloween stuff is a little limited this year, but I am going to do the best I can to keep these interesting and not just what I feel like this video kind of became of just me unboxing stuff. But hey, what can you do? Alright, so I'm out today doing some Halloween hunting type stuff, and I just got out of Party City. I didn't film in the store because I feel like there's like 10 billion Party City and Spirit Halloween tours out on YouTube this year. Maybe I'm just seeing them more than normal for some reason, but I feel like they're everywhere, so I just didn't want to like add to that clutter. But I will show off the few things I picked up. So they had a drawstring bag for pretty cheap, so who knows what the quality is going to be like, but it's like a Freddy vs. Jason, just a generic artwork on it. I don't know, I've been using the drawstring bag I own that was like a freebie from a robot event a lot more lately for bringing into like theme parks and stuff, just instead of having a big bulky backpack. If I just need to carry a couple things, it seems to be easier. So if I have a horror themed one, that will fit me a little better as opposed to some random electronics company. Another cheap one, they had these like horror cutouts. So I thought these could be kind of cool. There's just a bunch of different random, I think they're all Warner Brothers properties. So Nightmare, Friday, so basically New Line Cinema stuff, and then It. So this could be cool, I guess. Like I said, they're very cheap. And then another one, which may not be rare for some people, but I have not seen one in the wild often, pretty much ever. But I found the zombie ghost face mask. I think these came out the year Scream 4 came out, if I remember right. And I have the NECA figure that they did based off this look. I think the new Ultimate Ghostface is going to have a zombie mask too. But yeah, for whatever reason, like, every so often I see one pop up in a store, and usually the chin, just like this one, is really warped, but I think I could stuff it and try to bring it back into shape or whatever. But kind of regretted not getting them previous years that I've had them available to me, so decided to fix that and add zombie to my collection. So I've got the mummy one and just a regular one. So I think the only other major variant that I would want, I know there's a lot of variants of that mask, but if I could find the scarecrow one, that would be cool. I don't know how common that one is, so it could be a pain in the ass, but yeah, at least I got that one now. I'm happy about having that. Okay, so I didn't show off the other stuff as I was driving around, so I figured I'll just show it off now. Went to Walmart and found the Friday the 13th, one of their like travel cups. Picked a few of these up last year, or maybe 2 years ago, or maybe both. Before. This one is one I hadn't seen before. It's a Freddy vs. Jason artwork on it, but I really like this. You don't often really see that mask looking quite as clean. I think it's mostly for the artwork because I don't think the real mask was ever that clean in the film. So I kind of like the way that looks, and you know, a lot of us love Jason stuff, so that was a plus. And then Walmart started carrying the, is it the Vestron? Yeah, the Vestron video version of Shivers. So I figured to pick that up. I haven't watched it, but curious to check it out. And then at Spirit, I picked up one of these cheapo Michael Myers knives. I'm gonna try to redo it. I redid one for my friend a few years back, repainted it, and added some detail to it. So I'm gonna try to give this one a similar treatment and make it look a little cooler than what it is now. And then my big score of the day was this guy here, the Spirit Halloween Beetlejuice sign. I had not yet found this thing before, so I was glad to actually see it in stores. I'll find somewhere to hang this up because I think it's pretty darn cool. Alright, so we got a giant box of diapers in, but hopefully there's something a little less crappy in here than diapers. Gotta try not to spill packing peanuts everywhere. So there is our first part. So kind of clear here, this is a replica of the Evil Dead 2 chainsaw. I am blanking offhand. I forget the difference if it's the work shed or the other version offhand. I'll have to check the references. Is that the little thing inside to hold? So I can actually stick it on my arm there. Okay, that was a bad idea because now it's like a saw trap. There we go. Okay. There we got our blade in there. So this actually has a real chainsaw blade. My Texas chainsaw replica I made, I did not put an actual chain on it because I didn't want to kill myself, but I'll just have to be really careful with this one. I do want to add some blood and stuff to it. The chainsaw's all nice and bloody, but the bar is pretty clean, so this definitely needs some grime going on with it. So I'll get this whole thing assembled and in the display case and let you guys take a look at it. Alright, so there it is in with the other stuff in my display case. I think it looks pretty good. It's definitely a plastic body. I know basically the older saws, probably the ones around the era that they made the movie, had metal bodies, and then this later versions had plastic, but originally that kind of made a difference to me, but having it on display, I'm kind of realizing that it's, it is what it is. You can't really tell from just looking at it, so who really cares? But it's got the real chain on there. I did drop in a little bit of angle iron or angle aluminum on the top of the reel-to-reel just so that we're not scratching it or anything that we don't need to. But yeah, I mean, I'll get that all painted up and gory, and I might redo a little bit of the weathering on here because it is a little brushstroke-y looking, but I think it's pretty solid. I'm happy to have that on here. I think I missed unboxing the arm, and I'm honestly not sure. The arm might be flipped upside down. I forget if it's supposed to be longer on the bottom or the top, so I'll have to reference how far that should go in. Not too shabby of a setup. I've got one more little item I want to add in here, but I think this is pretty solid right now. Alright, so we're doing another unboxing. I'm cheating because I only have one hand. Got a little doodle here that says thanks. So let's get this guy out of his bubble wrap. And I thought this might come with like a card or something for the seller or the studio that made it, but I guess not. So I'll add it in post. But this is a replica of the Vampire Kid mask from Trick or Treat. This is cool. Like, Spirit started doing some of these masks this year, some of the plastic masks, and I guess paper mache in this case, but they made it out of plastic from the movie. But I think, from what I was reading, that this might have been like a vintage mask before it was put into the film, so it's not like they could just reproduce it under the license. I'm not 100% sure about that, but this was a pretty nice looking replica, so I'll get this stuffed or something, get it on display here with the rest of them. Alright, so there it is. I just quickly just threw it on a mannequin head for right now, just to give you the idea. It's not really a child-size mask. It's probably a little big, but I think it looks pretty cool. It has that cool vintage look to it. It looks a little weathered and worn. So I think that's pretty solid. So it'll go, I'll get it somewhere better and more permanent, but in with the rest of my Trick or Treat display up here. I did actually mod this pumpkin. This is the one that they have this year that has the flame effect coming out the top. I did a mod on it so that everything is switch controlled instead of just plugging it in and have everything go off at once. So now it lights separately from the fan blowing. So that's actually on my other channel, my robotics channel. If you're an electronics project, you can go over there, but I'll leave a link to that below if I remember. It should be live by the time this is up. So you should be able to check that out if you're interested as well. And I just got unlazy and looked it back up. The Etsy seller is Horror Business Masks. And I believe it said that the sculptor was the same person who did the Cheddar Goblin for Mandy. And if that's true, then my friend actually knows the guy who did that. So I should actually ask him about this. But that was completely unintentional when I bought it. I just realized after the fact that I may know a guy who knows the dude who made it. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, cool. Another nice trick-or-treat piece to my collection. And I guess I'm going to try to finish out getting all the school bus children. I don't really know who makes some of them. The one princess mask that's upside down looks like it may be a vintage mask. Same with the devil mask. I think the only other one is the paper bag, if I remember right. Or there may be one more that I'm omitting. But hey, well on my way to having a set of those. And just having the 4 here, I think, are pretty cool. Okay, so I wasn't entirely sure if I was going to do my little movie mini reviews this year, but to start off the month of October, I figured I'd watch a horror movie I've never seen before, so I went into my list on Shudder and pulled up Beyond the Door, which is an Italian horror film from 1974, and holy shit, did I just laugh my ass off and absolutely love this movie. Nothing about it can be taken seriously. It is a blatant ripoff of The Exorcist with a little Rosemary's Baby thrown in, a little Omen thrown in, but I just was laughing my ass off so much of this. I've been watching a lot of Italian horror movies recently, especially over on the podcast I've been working on, Nocturnal Frequency. We just covered the 3 Fulci Gates of Hell movies, and I'm kind of in tune with that whole weird vibe of 70s and early 80s Italian horror supernatural films. And this was just so much fun. It had the most ridiculous child characters I've ever seen. They're very young children and they are just like spewing obscenities, and the one kid is just drinking Campbell's soup through a straw right out of the can. I think it's pea soup most of the time too, so just straight up pulling an Exorcist reference right there. The effects, I mean, take a look at that. How do you not want to watch that as an Exorcist ripoff? It's basically a woman who's pregnant with the devil's child, and then she becomes possessed by the devil while she's pregnant with its child. It's really weird. It's really crazy. And yeah, I don't want to reveal too much more about it, but I think if you're willing to go into it with open mind, not mind that it's terrible dubbing throughout, and just kind of go with the silliness of the whole thing, it's so fucking funny. I loved it. Yeah, so it's on Shudder right now. I think Arrow put it out on Blu-ray, so there's multiple ways you could see it. It may even just be up on YouTube, but I would recommend this one. Alright, got another package in today from Cavity Colors. A bit of a different t-shirt color for my collection, but they had Trick or Treat shirt. I think they did do this in black. I didn't see it initially. I probably would have bought the black if I'd seen it. But it's Sam with a, candy corn bowl full of a bunch of the other masks and characters from the movie, and the take only one. So I thought this was cool. They also put in a pretty badass sticker of his severed hand holding the lollipop, and then just one of their Cavity Colors stickers, which is cool, and a bookmark of the same design, which is great. So I've got some more Sam stuff coming from Fright Rags here pretty shortly. Sam seems to be everywhere this year, which I'm not going to complain about. I love Trick or Treat, so I'll keep picking up stuff from it. And I think they're doing the spook bag again, Cavity Colors, the kind of blind bag type thing they've done, I guess, for years. I've bought it the last 2 years, so hopefully I can get one this year, because those are always a good time. Alright, I apologize for the weird camera angle, but I was being lazy, didn't want to put the tripod up, so I literally just threw the camera on a shelf between a bunch of Myers masks. But anyway, so as you just saw, I am working on upgrading my life-size Harry Warden with some posable hands. So, now I could take the hand and actually move the fingers individually. This is necessary to get him to hold his axe. I have this beautiful, beautiful replica axe from Chuck Ryan Cosplay, and it's just a shame that it hasn't been able to be on this full-size prop yet, because the hands that it came with are basically like flippers. Like, the hand is just molded like all together like that. There's no space in between the fingers. So to put the gloves on initially, I cut between the fingers, and then I cut the thumb off of one hand and I left it on the other for some reason. But they never looked right. They also looked really goofy. These gloves in general, I probably do want to replace, because they just don't conform to a hand in a way that looks right at all. Like, even with these more hand-shaped hands, they look goofy. But this whole attempt was to do this cheap. There are places that sell very expensive posable hands for mannequins and things like that, but these are just the art reference hands that you could buy online. I bought a pair off Amazon. It was like $20, and I went in and I tightened all the joints up, which is why the middle finger came off on this hand. I bent it in a way it wasn't supposed to go, I guess, and it snapped off, but I think it's going to work okay. I did some tests. I think it's still going to be all right for my purposes here, but then simply I cut off the mannequin arm. This is just a plastic mannequin. It's not a fiberglass one, so it's nice and easy to cut, but I cut it off at the wrist. I had to do some adjustments, cutting a little lower each time to get it so that it was just big enough to fit the rounded end of the posable hand wrist in there. I just didn't want a lot of gap in there, so it's as tight as I could get it. And screwed in with 4 screws. I did the other hand the same way. And like I said, now I have a fully posable hand. I can move all the fingers. The wrist will also move and rotate, which is phenomenal. So I got a decent range of motion out of this hand now. And I did actually bend this elbow with some heat when I first got it. It's not a huge bend. I may go back in later and add like some metal bracing to get a real good heavy bend out of it. But I'm going to give this a shot, see how it works in the mannequin, and take it from there. Okay, so don't mind the state of this corner right now because it does need some cleaning. But yeah, just a test fit of Harry holding the pickaxe. I think it looks okay. Except definitely, the gloves detract from it a little bit. They're just way too stiff, like I said before. But, you know, he does hold the axe, and he is standing there with it in his hands. I think this gives me more reason to go ahead and bend that elbow further. Unfortunately, the weight of both the axe and the added weight of the hands keeps it so that he can't really bring his arms forward and keep them there like the mannequin would normally allow. So he is going to have to just kind of hold it against his body. So I think if I bend in that arm a little more, he may maybe just rest it like on one contact point with that left hand, and then the right hand would be up a little bit, make him look a little more threatening than he is now. But I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. Also, I don't know if I've ever covered this guy on my channel yet, but the coveralls still need to be weathered, the belts still need to be replaced completely with some more accurate ones, and there's just a little more weathering in general this guy needs. But yeah, another step on the road to having this guy looking the way I want him to. So I picked up this prop axe off of Amazon. It was relatively inexpensive, and it's actually not too shabby. It's like a fireman's axe style. I wanted it kind of like the Halloween 2 2009 Myers axe. It's got some okay detail on it. I think the line between the silver and the red could be a little cleaner, but that wouldn't be a hard repaint. The handle isn't bad. It's all foam, but there is something rigid in the handle, so it's not like really floppy or anything, which is nice. They did a decent job getting some wood grain on there. It's subtle, but I feel like a handle like this would be a little more subtle. It wouldn't have like a heavy wood grain, so that's pretty nice. Forget how long it's supposed to be. It's a decent size. If I bring in the Trick or Treat Studios Shining Axe, you could see it is a little longer and the head is a little larger. And then just like the Shining Axe, it does have a seam line going down the middle of it and all that, but that's to be expected with a prop of this nature. But the other thing I thought was cool, though, it's not all one piece. The head actually comes off and I could drop it. So I'm not sure exactly what the measurements would be of a real axe handle, but it may potentially be something where you could put a real axe handle on this and just have the foam head, which is kind of cool. I may consider doing that. But honestly, not shabby at all for about 25 bucks. I'm digging it. I forget if I said it before, but the company was Hero's Edge, and I found them first on eBay, and they have a bunch of different things, not just this axe. There's like 14 or 15 different props they offer. But then I found it on Amazon. I ended up buying off Amazon, partly because I'm impatient as hell, and partly because the shipper on eBay had some bad reviews. So I figured Amazon, it was Prime, I'd get it in 2 days. Why not? So the local independent theater here in Jacksonville, Sunrise Cinema, over this whole COVID era has been doing a bunch of drive-in movies. I think they started in like June or July. It was kind of moving around for a while, but it's been kind of a consistent location lately. So for the month of October, they are doing like a marathon of older movies. I think there's a couple new ones in here too. Just I should hold that up or it may actually be readable. But yeah, they're doing a bunch of different films that you could go and watch. So last night they kicked off this Halloween season with a double feature. The first movie up was Creature from the Black Lagoon, a movie I've seen many times, especially even this year. I've watched it quite a few times because I've been doing research to go out, and I think I've talked about this in previous years, filming at the filming locations from the original and sequel, The Creature from the Black Lagoon, here in Florida, and I actually did start that a few months back. I really only have one major location I still need to go to. So I watched this movie for research purposes a few times this year, but it was nice to see it up on a big screen.
By a sound of horns, how are you doing tonight? Glad to hear it. We're gonna have a great time. Creature of the Black Lagoon, released in 1954. It's got a special place in Sunray's heart, and if you've been to Sunray Cinema, you've probably already known that. So let's have a great time as we watch Creature from the Black Lagoon.
The weather here was actually nice. It was down below 80, which was fantastic. It's right by the stadium where the Jags play, so I think there's a big river there too, where you get a nice breeze off of. So it was actually like a really nice time to watch it. You can sit in your car and pipe it in through the FM channel, or they actually have speakers outside, so if you wanted to sit outside, everybody's distanced around their vehicle, so you're not really near anybody, and you can just hang out and watch movies.
Welcome to our second film in our first ever Sunray pop-up drive-in Halloween, film series. We'll be watching Elvira, Mistress of the Dark this evening. I haven't seen this movie since I was probably 9 when it was on Comedy Central and had no idea what I was watching other than a big-breasted, beautiful woman. So I'm excited to watch this with you all. I hope you enjoy the second film in the Halloween series. Hopefully you'll be back later this month for some more goodies. But ladies and gentlemen, let us enjoy Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Then the second movie was Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, and exact opposite. I've never seen this movie. I've really not seen much of anything Elvira related. I haven't really ever seen her show. I've maybe seen a few commercials with her in it. I've seen Boobarella on The Simpsons. That's probably about as close as I got to watching much of anything with her in it. But this was a lot of fun. I mean, it was just really just dumb, lowbrow humor, but I kind of like dumb, lowbrow humor, so it worked really well. It was definitely an enjoyable movie, and I'm glad I ended up doing the double feature. So far, there's 2 more this month that I know I'm going to, but I kind of have a feeling that I may end up going to another 1 or 2 that I haven't already bought tickets for, just because why the hell not? You know, in a year where it's harder to do Halloween things, stuff like this definitely is stuff I appreciate having access to. And I was a little worried because when Tenet came out, they started slowly opening the theater back up, but I was a little worried that maybe they would start shifting more towards in-theater stuff and stop with the drive-ins, but they seem to be going strong with it, and I hope that continues for the near future. Honestly, I kind of hope they can keep it going in general. I've had a lot of fun doing these, and Sunray does do a lot of throwback movies, and while I love going to their actual theater to see them, there's something kind of special about being able to do a drive-in. I never thought I would be able to do one because, I mean, they're pretty much all closed. I think there's 1 or 2 still in the state of Florida, but they're not really close, and it was kind of hard to find them playing a movie I wanted to see. And I know this isn't a true driving experience because it is just a pop-up screen and you listen to it on the radio or through speakers outside, but I don't know, to me it's close enough that it's a really fun experience.